Welcome to Beyond the Wall. This is my life story before, during, and after prison. Today, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my childhood. I'm a refugee. I came to America in '84 after the killing fields. A lot of the histories for people here in America and anything outside of Asia, our history is not told. Between 75 and 79, a guy named Pol Pot, the leader of the Khmer Rouge, took over Cambodia. He did it through propaganda because our politics and our government in Cambodia is corrupt. They stay corrupt. It's been like that before me, and it's like that now. So he told the people, hey, I'm for the people. Help me get into power, and I'll make your lives better. I'm sure you guys all heard that same shit from the politicians here in America. But when he got into power, his way of bettering America was to burn down our history. His way of bettering Cambodia, I've been in America for so long now. His way of bettering Cambodia was to burn down our history, our books, our culture, and then anybody that didn't abide by what he was trying to do, he killed them. Per capita, during that time, the atrocity was worse than the Holocaust. We had 6 million Cambodians living in that country. He killed 2 million of them, a third of the population. I'm sure some of you have seen it, and if not, go look in the history, go Google it or whatever. You got whales that are I don't know how deep whales are, but a lot of times they got to dig them 40 feet into the ground before they can tap water. They're all filled up with overflowing with skulls. Not the body, just the skulls. The whole country, even till this day, was littered with minefields, landmines. He enslaved the whole country. The very next day, maybe the third day, but no more than the third day, as soon as he came into power, he sent his Khmer Rouge soldiers to go knock on every door and told them, hey, something's going on. We need to leave the city. America's going to bomb the city. Just pack whatever you can carry and let's go. The civilians, the citizen, didn't know what they were doing. And it's hard to resist someone when they're carrying an AK-47. So he evacuated the whole city and marched them out into the fields and had the whole country planting rice out in the fields. And yet, everybody starved to death. I don't know too much about the history and the going-ons at that time because it's a hard subject for my family to talk about it. And the sad truth about it is that my story is not a unique story. There's so many refugees all through the world that has been through the things that I've been through. So many of these Cambodian families that had to run and escape the atrocity, we all have the same tragic story. I just recently found out that my dad had 18 members in his family. And he escaped with just him, me, and my brother Sabat. He later remarried, and I have 2 other brothers and 1 sister. which are my brothers. I love them. They're beautiful. They've done great things with their lives, and I'm proud of them. But as far as my family, my bloodline goes, prior to this, it's just me, my dad, and my little brother. I don't have no cousins. I have no aunts, no uncles, no grandparents. They're all dead. You know, some of them were killed, some of them were sick. Whatever it is, however they met their ending, they're not here any longer. And if you talk to refugees, Cambodian refugees, you'll hear this type of story over and over and over again. You know, my wife asked me, what was my earliest memory? And I thought about it. I've tried to research, you know, my memory. The earliest memory I can come up with is when I was 4. My biological mom was sick in the hospital. She was pregnant. Not with my brother Sabat, but with another baby. And I wanted to go visit her in the hospital. So my older sister, Patty, we had the same mom, but different dad, was gonna take me to go visit her in the hospital. So we have the old bicycle, whatever. I sat on the seat while she pedaled. And on our way over there, I got my foot caught in the back wheel. I still have the scar today, and it shredded the side of my right foot. This side, it shredded to pieces. And she saw all the blood and all that stuff, and she went and ran and grabbed my dad. And my dad came with his friends, and he took me back into the village or the camp that we were staying at. And my memory of this incident is kind of strange because I'm being held down while they're pouring peroxide over my wound. And if anybody's ever used peroxide, that stuff burns and stings, and your leg and your wound is bubbling like it's a volcanic, you know, eruption. But my memory of it is not me looking up at these men holding me down while someone poured a peroxide on me, but my view was of me looking down, seeing myself being held down while somebody was pouring peroxide on my wound. That's how I remember it. So it's almost like an outer body experience. But I was screaming and crying, but my tears, my agony wasn't over the wound. It was over not being able to see my mom, because somehow subconsciously or whatnot, I knew that I missed that opportunity. I don't have any memories of my mother. She never came home. She had an illness where she couldn't have any more kids, and the doctor told her before that if she were to have any more kids, that it could cause her life. But from what I was told, my dad was like, she wanted more kids because she's like, well, when we get older, we need these kids to help take care of us and help build our lives and whatnot. So she died of birth complications. But nobody took the liberty to tell me. So the memory from that, my next earliest memory is just sitting at home, waiting for her to come home. I remember crying myself to sleep every night, waiting for my mom to return. And she never did. You know? I didn't get to go to her funeral. You know, in Cambodia, they burned the body. And the day of the funeral, my dad had some lady, I'm going to assume she's Thai, come pick me up to go take me out to go eat and play or whatever, to go eat pho. We call it katio in Cambodia, But I remember when I was in her car telling her, I just want to see my mom. I didn't want to go eat pho. I didn't want to go play. And the whole car ride was just, take me back, take me back, take me back. I want to see my mom. And eventually I wore her down and she brought me home. But I never saw my mom. You know, till these days, till even now, I can't recall any memories of her. You know, so that's just something that really bothers me. Because I can't remember what she looks like. I can't remember what she smells like, what she feels like. I have no recollection of the time I spent with her, other than this painful memory. You know, I'm 45 years old now, and I've yet been unable to speak about her without getting emotional. You know, they say things that happen between the age of 1 and 5 leaves an impression on you. And I don't know if they're right or wrong or not. You know, being in a refugee camp, I don't have too many memories of it. I don't have the memories that my father and my mom now and other individuals that were their age that were fleeing have. You know, we were sheltered, as opposed to we're not conscious of the chaos that's going around us. We're kids. We wake up, we run, and we play. You know, we didn't have Nintendos, video games, or these social media stuff or whatever, but we didn't know, we're so young, we don't understand that we're lacking any of these things. You know, a stick and a rock is a toy to us. But, you know, I remember in refugee camps, we're waiting in line for, we call it kapong, which is a can of rice and some fishes, some dried fish. And that's supposed to feed our family for the day. Every morning, my sister was telling me we go and get in line, wait for handouts. And I came to America in '84. But like I say, when I was young, I wasn't conscious of the atrocity that I was living under. But if you talk to psychologists and these experts, they're going to tell you that there's no way that I could have lived that environment and not have it affect me. But we don't understand our culture, our people, the survivors of that time. There was no such thing as PTSD. It was just, you deal with it and you keep moving. You know, now that I'm older, and during the time that I was in prison, I was able to get a hold of some books and read a little bit about my history, but it all goes back to that time that we have no books beyond the Khmer Rouge range. He burned down all the books. You know, my dad told me one time the Khmer Rouge come in with their army truck, boom. They come into the village or the whatever places we were at, and Pol Pot, and they were telling, hey, they're throwing a party at the palace. We need we need architectures, we need musicians, we need people that knows this and knows that. And my dad said, you know, all the smart people, they put their head down and pretended to be dumb and walked away. But all the dumb motherfuckers, they all raised their hand and say, yeah, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, because they're thinking there's going to be a freaking party at the palace. Well, they load them all in the truck. 2, 3 truck fools. They load them all in the truck, took them down the road. And on the side of the road is a ditch dug however many miles. They forced all those individuals out of the truck, lined them all up, and one by one popped them all in the head and kicked their body in the dirt. This is from a guy that was selling himself to the people that he was going to better our culture, better our country, raise up the poor from poverty, take from the rich. But coming in, you know, after studying him a little bit, I learned that he went to France and studied Marxism. So sometimes when I hear this socialist, this Marxist ideology, and people are promoting it, and are like, yeah. That sounds good. But throughout our history, you can go to any country. These people, the countries, the government that try to implement these policies, it's never worked out for their people, for their citizens. You know, I'm not here to be political. I can care less about politics outside that the way it affects the economy and my family. But it's hard to overlook certain things, especially when I understand, when I've lived these policies. You know, no matter what gripe, no matter what beef I have with the government, with people in the judicial system, I consider myself very fortunate and lucky to be here in America. I have a few friends that has been here their whole lives, but when they got out of prison, they got deported. And it's a culture shock. The poorest among us here in America have cell phones. It's not that way around the world. And I communicate with some of my friends that has been deported, and they've told me how hard it is to adjust to the new environment because they're so used to having they're used to America. They grew up their whole life here. And now they got sent back to a place that they say they were born, but they don't know anything about that culture. You know, when you catch your case or whatever, they sentence you 10, 20, 30 years or whatever. They're saying, hey, this is what we feel that you owe society for the laws that you broke. So we go do that time. We go do that 10, that 20, that 30 years. Then when they come out, they want to kick us out the country and deport us, which in essence is another sentence. Because if you don't have resources, you don't have family back there. A lot of us don't have family back there anymore because they're all dead. So again, you sent me to prison to die, and now you deport me, send me to a country that I don't know nothing about. to die again because I survived your penal system. And you're upset about that. So you want to put me in another trick bag and hope that I don't make it out of this one. Yeah. That's just a little bit about my history. And I'm going to take you through my evolution, how I got to the point I am here that I'm now. And some of it ain't pretty. And, you know, all I ask is that when you tune in and view these episodes or whatever, to do it with a clear slate, with an open mind, and just hear what I have to say. I mean, if you judge and whatnot, that's on you. But I'm not here to give you some type of impression of who I am or project a certain persona. I'm just telling you what it is, man. Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Wall. See you next time.